Hey YouTube, Frankenberry123 coming at you with kind of like a regional talk. This isn't really so much for my YouTube channel. This is really just a part to be in like my Facebook team or whatever. Just to kind of say what my opinions on the regionals are going to be, and what you should play and what play style you should play, and kind of like a couple of decks that I think would be good and some decks that I don't think are going to be very relevant. I'll probably make another one on side decking cards and stuff that I feel on the side is necessary and what you should prepare. Not necessarily. This is like a what you should prepare for. I guess the second part, I'm doing this kind of like because Matt did it, and I feel like I want my opinion on it too. So I'm not trying to copycat or anything. Mine's actually kind of different than his, but just so you guys know, I've only went to like 2 regionals. I went to one in Tallahassee, and I went to one in Tuscaloosa. I went to 2 in Tallahassee, and I don't know if you know. Last time I scrubbed out playing aggro sabers because I did what I wanted to do. I didn't really study the game that much beforehand, which was a very big problem on my part. If I could go back, I definitely wouldn't have played X sabers. I probably would have played Blackwings, and I feel like I would have done a lot better going against what I did with them. But I think I think I did pretty good for X sabers, which to me are a very mediocre deck right now. With Macarabbit being as prominent as it is, but so yeah, that regional I didn't do good at all. But the regional before that, I actually looked up what I was doing,